In the hellscape of World War II, the Soviet Union was desperate for heroes. They found them in the hardened men of the Red Army, but one of their deadliest assets, ghost haunting the German lines, wasn't a man at all. She was a 17-year-old orphan who had stared down starvation during the siege of Leningrad. She was a girl who had lost everything, only to find a new, lethal purpose behind the scope of a rifle. This is the incredible true story of Alia Maldagulova, a girl with nothing left to lose, who hunted the hunters of the Third Reich and became a legend. With a kill count that sources place between 78 and over 100, Alia Moldagulova's story begins, not on a battlefield but on the vast, windswept plains of Kazakhstan. Born in a small village called Bulak in 1925, from her first breath her world was defined by loss. During the devastating Soviet famines of the 1930s that claimed over 1.5 million lives in Kazakhstan alone, her mother was killed by a guard while gathering leftover potatoes from a collective field. Not long after, her younger brother Baghdad also perished. As if this heartbreak weren't enough, her father Nurmagomedov was persecuted by Soviet authorities for being a descendant of noblemen, a dangerous lineage in a state built on revolution. He was eventually imprisoned, leaving Alia utterly alone. For a year, the 8-year-old girl wandered her village until an uncle, Abubakir Moldagulov, took her in. Eventually, her uncle's military career took the family to Leningrad, today's St. Petersburg. It was a stark, unfamiliar world, far from her home. But even there, Alia showed a firm, purposeful character that belied her age. She was enrolled in school, a small girl with dark, determined eyes. With no idea that the city meant to be her refuge was about to become one of the most terrifying places on earth. She was a survivor forged by tragedy. But her greatest trial was still to come. In June 1941, the world split wide open. Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa, shattered the peace. For 16-year-old Alia, the war arrived with the chilling finality of a locked door. By September 8th, German forces completely surrounded Leningrad, and the infamous 872-day siege began. What followed were nearly 3 years of unimaginable horror. The city was cut off, its people left to starve, freeze, and endure relentless bombing. Food grew so scarce that a daily ration could shrink to a single slice of bread made mostly of sawdust. But in this icy hell, Alia's quiet strength only burned brighter. As a member of the Komsomol, the Communist Youth League, she immediately joined the city's defense. She scaled frozen rooftops to extinguish German incendiary bombs with sand. Her selflessness was already becoming legendary. In one instance, she was found unconscious in the street, having collapsed from exhaustion. It was discovered she had been giving half of her own tiny bread ration to a weaker child. She simply refused to let despair win. In March 1942, Alia was evacuated from the dying city across the treacherous road of life on the frozen Lake Ladoga. She was skeletal and haunted, but she was alive. After finishing her studies in the small village of Vyatskoy, she dreamed of fighting back. She enrolled in an aviation technical school, hoping to become a pilot and rain vengeance from the sky. But fate and the Red Army had a different plan. The war had taken her family and her home. Now, it was about to give her a new, terrifying identity. At just 17, Alia's dream of becoming a pilot took a sharp turn. Her path didn't lead to a cockpit, but to a place that would forge her into one of the world's most feared soldiers, the Central Women's Sniper Training School. Established near Moscow in 1942, this unique school recruited young women, believing they possessed the perfect temperament for sniping: patience, a high tolerance for stress and cold, and unyielding resolve. The training was absolutely grueling. For months, Alia and her fellow cadets learned to crawl on their stomachs for hours, assemble their Mosin Nagant rifles blindfolded, and master the complex science of ballistics. They were taught to become invisible hunters, to prioritize high-value targets, and to carry 2 grenades, one for the enemy and one for themselves, to avoid the horror of being captured alive. And in this brutal academy, Alia didn't just survive, she excelled. Her steady hand and sharp eye made her a natural. Upon graduation, she was awarded a personalized rifle by the Komsomol, scribe from the Central Committee of the Komsomol, for excellent shooting, an honor for only the very best. Recognizing her incredible skill, Her commanders offered her a safe position as an instructor, far from the front lines. She flatly refused. She demanded to be sent to the front. In her letters, she wrote about a burning desire for revenge for the friends she had lost. She hadn't survived starvation and pushed her body to its absolute limit just to teach. She needed to fight. Her commanders finally relented, and in July 1943, she was assigned to the 54th Independent Rifle Brigade. At 17, she had outshot everyone and then demanded the front. So what happened when this teenage sharpshooter finally came face to face with the enemy? We're about to find out. But first, if you're finding this story as incredible as we do, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of unbelievable heroism. You won't want to miss what happens next. In July 1943, Corporal Aliya Moldagulova arrived at the front with the 54th Independent Rifle Brigade. She was no longer a student or a starving orphan. She was a state-sanctioned hunter, and her prey was the invaders of her homeland. Deployed to the Second Baltic Front, she was thrown into a world of trenches, mud, and the constant threat of sudden death. If any of her male comrades had doubts, they vanished almost instantly. Aliya was fearless, often to the point of being reckless. She wouldn't just wait for targets to appear. She would sneak into no man's land, often alone, using the terrain to get dangerously close to enemy lines. She played a deadly game of chess, using her wits and uncanny patience to lure German soldiers into her crosshairs. Her official kill count climbed at an astonishing rate. By October 1943, after just a few months, she already had 32 confirmed kills. On December 3, 1943, she wrote a letter home from a deep trench surrounded by frozen trees. "You meet the Germans face to face," she wrote. "I have a helmet on my head, a grenade in my belt, a rifle in my hands. I don't feel pity for Nazis." That same letter reveals the moment she became a legend in her unit. Her commander called her forward and announced that sniper Aliya Moldagulova killed 14 fascists in 3 days. In the letter, she notes that her commander, after thanking her, kissed me like a son. I even blushed. The name Leah was a common battlefield diminutive for Aliya. She was more than just a soldier. She was becoming a symbol of righteous vengeance. While wartime records are often chaotic, her final official tally stands at 78 enemy soldiers and officers, with some sources claiming over 107. January 14, 1944, the mission was critical. Aliya's battalion was ordered to advance near the village of Kazakika in the Pskov region and cut a vital railway line, disrupting German supplies. The fighting was ferocious. Pinned down by a storm of machine gun and mortar fire, the Soviet advance stalled as officers fell. In the chaos, with her company's leadership gone, Aliya did something extraordinary. She rose. Leaping from the trench, rifle in hand, she screamed the one phrase that could move mountains: "For the motherland, forward." Inspired by her courage, the soldiers surged after her. In that moment, she became the commander, leading the charge, rallying the men, and breaking into the enemy trenches. She fought with a fury born of desperation, firing her rifle and throwing grenades. In the brutal hand-to-hand combat that followed, she was wounded. Even then, she wasn't done. According to the official account, as a German officer approached, she mustered her last ounce of strength, raised her weapon, and fired one final time, killing the man who had mortally wounded her. Her comrades managed to carry her from the fight. There are conflicting reports on her final moments, with one account stating she was taken to a shed for the wounded that was then hit by an artillery shell, engulfing it in flames. Aliya Moldagulova, the orphan who survived the siege, the student who outshot her instructors, died there with her comrades. She was just 18 years old. Aliya Moldagulova may have died a corporal, but her sacrifice instantly elevated her to the pantheon of Soviet legends. On June 4, 1944, she was posthumously awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union, the nation's highest honor for valor. Her combat career is a story of breathtaking intensity, a brilliant, violent flash that lasted less than a year. Unlike other famous female snipers like Lyudmila Pavlichenko, who survived the war, Aliya's story is one of ultimate sacrifice. Her legacy represents the sacrifice of the more than 1,800 women who graduated from the sniper school, of whom only about 1 in 5 survived the war. Today, Aliyah is a national hero in her native Kazakhstan, which celebrated the 100th anniversary of her birth in 2025. Streets and monuments bear her name. And in 2021, the airport in the Kazakh city of Aktobe was renamed the Aliyah Maldagulova International Airport in her honor. From a starving orphan on the streets of Leningrad to a celebrated sniper ace, Aliyah Maldagulova's journey is one of the most incredible and heartbreaking stories of the Second World War. She's a powerful reminder that heroes can come from anywhere, forged in the most unimaginable circumstances. Her life was tragically short, but her legacy of courage and sacrifice is eternal. What did you find most incredible about Aliyah's story? Let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another unbelievable story from history. Thanks for watching.